Flip phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
The Heisman Trophy. It is the most important and biggest award in all of college football. It is given out every year to the best player on the Division I FBS level. And when you win this award, you instantly go down as a college football legend. For the 2023 college football season, the Heisman finalists were Jayden Daniels, LSU, Bo Nix, Oregon, Michael Penix, Washington, and Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State. And the player that would take home the Heisman Trophy would be none other than LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Jayden Daniels' story all the way from high school to current day Heisman Trophy winner. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. Jayden Daniels played high school football in California at Keon High School in San Bernardino, California, and he was a part of the 2019 class. He was a 4-year starter on the California prep scene, where he absolutely dominated every year on the high school level. In his high school football career, Jayden Daniels accounted for a total of 13,827 yards through the air, while accounting for 170 touchdown passes compared to only 20 interceptions. He was also a beast on the ground. Now, I do need to note, I only have his first 3 years of rushing stats available to me, so in those 3 years from freshman to junior year, he accounted for 2,043 yards on the ground and 24 total rushing touchdowns, including a year in which he rushed for 1,000 plus yards and 10 plus touchdowns in 2017 as a junior. In his senior year, I have to assume it was near the same level. But in his final 2 years of high school football as a quarterback, as a passer, he accounted for a total of 62 passing touchdowns in 2017 and 60 in 2018. And it's no surprise that with those numbers and how highly regarded as he was getting recruited by a lot of teams in the nation. He held a total of 25 offers coming out of high school from schools such as Arizona State, UCLA, Alabama, Utah, USC, just to name a few, and he would ultimately end up choosing Arizona State. And to talk about how highly regarded he actually was outside of the offers, Jayden Daniels in the 2019 class, a very stacked 2019 class, mind that, he was almost a 5-star. According to the 24/7 Sports Composite Rankings, he was a 4-star, just missed out a 5-star by a couple spots as the number 35 player nationally, the number 3 player in the state of California, and he was the number 2 dual threat quarterback in the class and the number 3 overall quarterback in the class, just behind Spencer Rattler and Bo Nix. Going into his freshman campaign at Arizona State, there was a wide belief that he had a shot to be an immediate impact player for the Sun Devils and potentially be their first game starter, as he was going to be in a quarterback competition with Dylan Sterling Cole, and ultimately Jayden Daniels would win the job during training camp, and he would be the first ever Arizona State true freshman starting quarterback in program history. And in his first year on the collegiate level, the Power 5 level at that in the Pac-12, Jayden Daniels played pretty well. He helped lead a Sun Devils team to an 8-4 record. He completed 61% of his passes, threw for 2,943 yards, 17 touchdowns through the air compared to only 2 interceptions, while accounting for a total of 355 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. He showed a lot of potential during that season and ultimately had a very big role and big part of their big win against the then number 6 Oregon Ducks, who had Justin Herbert at the time. Going into the 2020 college football season, there was an expectation that Arizona State was going to have a chance to surprise some people in the Pac-12 and potentially even be a Pac-12 dark horse team. However, with the very weirdness of the 2020 season, many of you probably already know, it was a shortened season for many teams, especially the Pac-12. Arizona State played a total of 4 games. They went 2-2 in that time span. Jayden Daniels, he didn't play bad, but it was only 4 games, so it's really hard to judge people just off 4 games solely. He completed 58% of his passes, threw for 701 yards, 5 touchdowns to 1 interceptions, and accounted for a total of 4 rushing touchdowns with 223 rushing yards. Going into the 2021 season, now as a junior, going into his 3rd year as a starting quarterback, The expectation for Jayden Daniels and this ASU team was to be a top 25 team for the whole year, to be one of those top teams in the Pac-12, and to try to fight for a New Year's Six spot and maybe even a Pac-12 title and try to maybe get into the College Football Playoff. Wasn't really most people's expectation to go to the College Football Playoff, but if you could win the Pac-12, you could potentially have a say. However, Arizona State ultimately would not reach any of those goals. They would finish a year out 8-5, and once mid-October came by, they were no longer a top 25 team. And Jayden Daniels, he would not have his best season at all. He would have his best year on the ground up to that point with 710 rushing yards, averaged 5 yards a carry, and had 6 touchdowns on the ground. But through the air, Jayden Daniels, he struggled with turnovers. He completed 65% of his passes, which is pretty good. He threw for 2,380 yards, kind of average, in a 13-game span. But he threw for 10 touchdowns through the air compared to 10 interceptions. At the conclusion of the 2021 college football season, Jayden Daniels would end up entering the college football transfer portal. And a lot of it could do with needing some new change of scenery, the ongoing NCAA investigation that was going on at Arizona State during the entirety of that 2021 season, how Herm Edwards' future kind of seemed to be in jeopardy at the time, and how staff members were getting fired left and right because of the said investigation. He would end up in the transfer portal and was a top 100 rated player in the transfer portal, and he would end up going to LSU. In his 4th year now of college football, the 2022 season, now with LSU, Jayden Daniels was now the starting quarterback for his second team, now for LSU, of course. And he would have a good year. He would get back to his old self, in which he was a more efficient passer, didn't turn over the ball very much, and was also a very good runner on the ground. In 14 games played, he completed nearly 69% of his passes, threw for 2,913 yards, 17 touchdowns in the air compared to 3 interceptions, while accounting for a total of 885 rushing yards and 11 total touchdowns on the ground with nearly 5 yards per carry. LSU also had a pretty good year as well. They had a top 25 offense, and it seemed like they were starting to head back in the right direction that they once were back in the Ed Orgeron days with Joe Burrow and such. Were they that dominant? No, they still went 10-4, but it was a step in the right direction to have a 10-win season, especially since the last couple years were, well, disappointing to say the least since their national title win. Daniels would have an option to go to the NFL after this season. However, he would return to LSU for the 2023 campaign. Heading into 2023, there were high expectations in Baton Rouge for the Tigers, as in the AP poll preseason, they were a top 5 team ranked at number 5. There was an expectation to compete for an SEC title and try to get in the college football playoff. And Jayden Daniels, even though he wasn't expected to be the Heisman winner like he ended up being, he was seen kind of as a Heisman dark horse, and he had a chance to potentially be a Heisman finalist in some people's eyes. And Jayden Daniels, he had a monster year. I mean, he won the Heisman, and he was the SEC Player of the Year, of course. In those 12 games, he completed 72% of his passes, threw for 3,812 yards, 40 touchdowns compared to only 4 interceptions, while rushing for a total of 1,134 yards, averaging an insane 8 yards a carry and 10 total touchdowns on the ground. Not only that, LSU had the number 1 scoring offense. Now, what kept LSU from being the best they could be in 2023? It wasn't the offense, and it wasn't Jayden Daniels. Unfortunately, LSU's defense did take a big step back from 2022 to 2023, and it ultimately made them end up losing a few games in the process. But with the year that Jayden Daniels had, you could not refuse the fact that he was going to be a Heisman finalist. And there was some debate about who would win the Heisman, really between him and Michael Penix mainly, but some people did mention Bo Nix as well. But in my opinion, the right thing was done, and Jayden Daniels won the Heisman. Yes, LSU, they went 9-3, but it is an individual award, and I would say Jayden Daniels did have the best individual season in all of college football, and he rightfully won the Heisman and other quarterback awards as well. And because of this, Jayden Daniels, who a season ago may have been a mid-round quarterback draft pick, is now projected to be a first-round pick and is a 2023 Heisman Trophy winner. Well, guys, if you made this far in today's video, drop something down in the comment section below of what videos you want to see in the future, and what are your thoughts on Jayden Daniels winning the Heisman. Before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. B. Kelly out.